So the reason we are doing this session, that is a training cum orientation session on national innovation and startup policy for faculty and students, is to actually ensure that we create an enabling environment within our campuses to promote innovation and entrepreneurship. We have to, so as I was saying last time, Dipan, please go on mute. So as I was saying last time, if we have to evolve as a $5 trillion economy, which we are aiming for, we have to evolve as global innovation hub. And if we have to evolve as global innovation hub, then we really need to create thousands of islands or thousands of ecosystems within this country, which are self-sustaining and which are competitive and working on great ideas. And there cannot be a better place than our higher educational institutions to actually emerge as islands of these innovations. And for that reason, this national innovation and startup policy is very, very critical for us. This policy not only covers students, but this policy also covers faculty. So if you really get into the details of this policy, you will see that there are provisions made for faculty as well as there are provisions made for students to ensure that they pursue their good ideas as startups, they pursue their good ideas as enterprise, and actually contribute towards wealth creation for this country. So as Professor K.K. Agarwal last time was saying, that research is conversion of wealth into knowledge, and innovation is conversion of knowledge into wealth. So the first aspect we are doing quite good now in this country. We are the third largest publishing country in the world. Okay, even in good journals. In terms of numbers also we are doing good, but as you all know that there are large number of controversies around the publications and the papers we end up publishing. But even if you set aside that point, if you just look at the publications in really good journals which have maybe impact factor more than 5, or we are doing pretty good. The H index of large number of our professors is pretty high. So as far as research is concerned, now we have there is also room for huge improvement. I'm not denying that, but we are doing good. Now we need to also focus on how we can convert this research into something which leads to products which has standing in market, and we actually help in wealth creation for this country. So I will give you a couple of examples which actually promoted me for getting into this national innovation and startup policy. So I was talking to few professors from really very good organization, and when I asked them that currently if you generate any revenue through consultancy or through your enterprise, what is the revenue sharing mechanism? Okay, so we got different answers from different institutions, we got different answers from different professors. So some said your institute takes away 30% of the revenue, some said institute takes away 50% of the revenue, some said institute takes away 60% of the revenue. Now the simple question we really used to ask is, if 50 to 60% revenue अगर इंस्टीट्यूट निकाल लेगा किसी प्रोफेसर का, एंड 30% उसका अगर इनकम टैक्स निकाल लेता है, तो उसके पास बचता क्या है? What he actually ends up having in his hand. Like if 30% is taken by income tax and 50% or 60% is taken away by the institute, he hardly gets anything in his hand. So the motivation level goes down substantially. So we felt that this problem needs to be fixed. Then when we spoke to some students, so one of the case which I remember talking to, he was an IITian, and he said he started a venture in his hostel, and by working at night, by working later. And once when the director came to know about this venture and the IP, the institute started claiming that the IP belongs to them. Institute had hardly played any role in actually supporting that IP, or he had hardly used any of the institute infrastructure. But the director of that institute didn't accept that claim. He said, "You are using hostel's internet actually to build this business or to run this business. And because you are using hostel internet facility, you are using our capacity, our facilities, and that's the reason you need to share the IP with us. The IP belongs to the institute, and based on the normal norms, you have to get into revenue sharing." So we felt that this is also very discouraging. So when we spoke to large number of students, we felt that there are real basic problems which are hampering this innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem within our organization. Another, when we spoke to some tier 2, tier 3 institutions, some universities, we realized that students cannot actually get out, take a semester break or a year break officially and work on their startup. If they have to do that, then it is considered as fail or something, but there is no proper, or it gets stigmatized. So there was no proper way or methodology to actually handle these kind of aspects. Also, we felt that if a student actually is working on an enterprise or he's doing his startup, he's actually putting more efforts than what a normal student should do. And we were of the thought process that whether, because of these efforts which he is putting, whether it can be converted into some kind of credits, which student can bank and actually help him in his eventually degree course. So some of the IITs are certainly doing, but we felt that we really need to democratize it further. We really need to reach out to more universities, because 99.95% of our students are in tier 2, tier 3 organizations. And it is not that there are no good ideas coming from these students, because why students are in IITs or UDCTs or these kind of NITs is because they know how to crack JEE. It doesn't mean that they are really out of box thinkers or they're really very innovative in their thought process. So we felt that we need to create enabling mechanism across the educational institutes so that the innovation ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem in these institutions will actually get strengthened and flourish. And that's the reason we decided to have this policy. Now, if you really look at the policy, we have given some caps. For example, how much an institute can hold as part of equity into any venture which a student is actually doing there or which is getting incubated. So when we spoke to, again, some organizations, we realized that a student has an idea. He wants to convert it into a venture. Institute says, yes, we will help you in converting it. We will give you the support. But you have to give us 30% equity, 40% equity. Now, without, and as the student is at a disadvantage, the institute ends up arm twisting them, or they end up arm twisting the faculty. And because the demand is made from institute side by director or dean, the student really doesn't have a good recourse, and he cannot fight. that why I should give you 40% equity or 30% equity. What you are bringing actually to the table to help us. So that was also one of the aspects which we felt we really need to address, that how much institute can ask for in terms of equity. Now, in India, our educational institutes cannot hold equity directly, because they are not allowed to. But what usually large number of institutes do, they set up their incubators as a Section 8 company or society. And through that society or Section 8 company, they are allowed to hold equities. And they should actually get into establishing incubators and support these incubating companies and hold equity into that. But sometimes they demand more than they actually deserve. Okay, that was one problem also which we felt. Another problem which we felt was that some colleges have started incubators. Certainly they have registered. They don't have good facilities. They are not very serious about those facilities also. But they don't allow their students to go to other incubators because they feel that if that student goes to other incubators, then they will lose. So they themselves are not serious about providing facility to students, but they don't allow others also to get incubated or go and get incubated in other incubator. And even vice versa thing is also happening. That if a college has a good incubator or they have an incubator, they are not allowing students from vicinity, from the other colleges which are there in vicinity, to get incubated within their incubator. So they said, no, this is very, very college-centric incubator, and we are not going to allow other students from other colleges or faculty members from other colleges to get into our incubator and incubate. So this was the aspect. When it comes to faculty, again, how much time a faculty can dedicate. Sometimes faculty, running an enterprise is a 48 hours job in a day. So we felt that if we have to do it, if we have to request, or if you want faculties to go ahead and pursue their entrepreneurship or their startup, then there has to be very, very clear norms on the leaves, on what kind of leaves he can take. And Dipan will certainly get into all those details about what are the facilities for faculty, then whether he can hold a CEO position or whether he can hold a director position, whether he can hold an executive position. The reason for this is that the primary job still with the faculty is to teach, give students to pursue academics. And if the faculty says that I want to pursue the entrepreneurship, then we really need to create an enabling framework so that he doesn't compromise on his primary duties. So we felt that detailed framework is also very critical. And that is also one of the reasons why we initiated this policy framework. Now, when we created this policy framework, a committee was constituted under chairmanship of Ashok Jhunjhunwala. Ashok Jhunjhunwala, I know you all must be knowing him as a very famous professor from IIT Madras. He started actually IIT Madras Research Park, which has evolved as one of the best incubators in the country. He has done large number of technology transfers. He's currently mentoring large number of startups also through IIT Madras Research Park. So he has actually been ahead of the curve in this country when it comes to incubation, entrepreneurship, and startups, and so on and so forth. So we felt that we should have a committee under his chairmanship, and we had multiple other members. We had Chairman AICTE as part of the committee. We had Secretary UGC as part of the committee. We had a person like Dr. Anand Deshpande, who is Chairman of Persistent Systems, as part of the committee. Sanjay Inamdar, who is a first-time entrepreneur or first-generation entrepreneur and has actually created one of the biggest export-oriented units in this country. and now running his own incubator in COEP Pune as part of this committee. So we had really good people who understands this innovation ecosystem, this entrepreneurial ecosystem as part of this committee. And then we actually came up with this guiding framework. We are saying this as a policy, but it is, to be honest, a guiding framework, because at the end of the day, universities are all autonomous bodies. So we can give them suggestions, we can give them guidances, guidelines, but at the end of the day, they have to go ahead, approve these policies within their summit or within their management council, and then implement it forward. So you can actually tweak it, and we would also wanted to give you the ability to tweak it further, and that's the reason we are saying this is a guiding framework. So you can, based on your area, based on your students, based on your environment, your current ecosystem, you can further tweak it. But we want all institutions to accept this policy in spirit, right spirit, maybe not in letters, but in spirit, you know. So that's what it is all about. And I'm really thankful that you have joined in such large numbers. I think today, right now, we have more than 297 people joining this over WebEx, and I think equally large number of people will be through our YouTube channel. They must be seeing this. So this is the mindset, or this was the mindset behind this policy, and we want to explore now how best we can implement this policy, what could be the roadmap. So the first session here is to first tell you that this is what we have thought about, this is what we have made it part of the policy. And eventually, maybe next time we can have another session where we can take feedback also from you. Once the training is done, once you have read this policy more thoroughly, you can also come up and we can have another session where we can take more feedback from you on how we can further improvise on this policy, so that we can actually go ahead, ask the committee members to actually look at some of the suggestions and come up as an addendum to this policy. So we are open for suggestions, we are open for discussion. Today may not be the right time for doing that, because today it's more of a training and orientation towards what we are thinking. Once you have absorbed the entire policy framework which we are suggesting, and when you start talking within your ecosystem about this policy, there will be a lot of queries which will be raised within your system, and based on those, you will have your suggestions. And I will request Dipan, maybe a month from now, we can actually have a feedback session on these aspects, and we can further explore the process of further improvising on this policy document. So we are open for suggestions, we are open for comments. We want to ensure that we create this enabling framework for all our students and for our faculties, because we sincerely believe that you are the best bet for us in this country if we want to evolve as global innovation hub, knowledge-based society, knowledge-based economy. So with this, I would like to stop here, and I would like to hand it over to Dipan for his presentation. And I hope that next 1.5 hours will be an enriching experience for you. You will get a lot of things to learn, and you will actually take this policy forward within your organizations, because you are our ambassadors now for this policy. So we will treat you as our policy ambassadors, and we will treat you as our agents in your institutes for both directional or bi-directional communication. So thank you very much. Really appreciate. Dipan, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Jere sir, for setting a base, or setting a platform for everybody, that from where we will start, and also setting the expectation from our higher educational institutes that to implement this NISP policy at spirit. And also, I again welcome and thank you all for joining this online session and also taking time to
Dipan, are we
complete.
recording this? Are we recording this?
Yes, yes, it is recording. Also, it's going through Facebook Live. So both are
Yes.
going. Yep.
Facebook, no, YouTube or Facebook? YouTube. I
YouTube,
think it will be
YouTube,
YouTube.
YouTube is already occupied by drug discovery, so we are giving in Facebook, and in
Okay.
evening we will upload in the YouTube also. So
Okay,
it will
good.
be available in both platforms.
So you can share it with all. Okay, good.
Yes.
Thank you, Dipan.
Yes.
Sorry to disturb. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. So again, as I said, that I'm really thankful that you have taken some time to fill this pre-questionnaires that we have sent to you, and we have received more than 1,500 questions. More than 1,500 questions, and I was going through the questions, and I observed one interesting things that I want to share before beginning of the session. Actually, I was thinking that how many of you have actually gone through. Please go mute. If anybody is not mute, please go mute. Okay, so the interesting is that in the question, I have included one like percentage of total budget that you will allocate for innovation. So mistakenly or by knowingly, I put it is 2%. And I found that one faculty who has identified that, and his name is Paramasivam K from Kumar Guru College of Technology, and he has rightly identified and he has asked the question, sir, is it 2% or is it 1%? It is 1%, but actually by knowingly, I have put that to check that how many of you have actually gone through the documents before attending this training session. And actually, because you all are faculty members, as our Dr. Jere sir said, that now onwards you are going to play the role of policy ambassador, or you can say that it's a policy agents. And also, you are not only going to the play of designing, also you will play the role in development of that policy document, also implementing that policy documents to create a vibrant and dynamic innovation and startup ecosystem in your campus. So this is the way actually we are expecting the responsibilities and the roles from your side. And that's why we have designed a training in 3 phases. Today is the first phase of training, and in next 1.5 hours, we will study so many things, but that on an overall, this first training is on understanding and getting oriented, and also understand the different components of the policy and how to design a policy. So this is the overall objective of today's training session. And in the second training session that we are going to conduct in 19th of August, most probably, because so far the time is timeline is 19th August. And the second training session will aim for how to implement the policy in your institute. And the third training session is that once you will start implementing, the kind of learning and the kind of experience you will gain, or the kind of achievements you will get out of this, how you are going to communicate. That's what we call it. Is called policy documentation. Also, you can call it policy advocacy, or also you can call it how to write a very good policy case studies by taking the success and failure from the learning through this implementation process. So this is the 3-stage or 3-phase level training for all of our participants, and today is the first training. And today, in next 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours, I will teach you, or I will just kind of giving you a overall understanding on entrepreneurial thinkings, approaches, policy logics, policy frameworks, also how to design a policy by referring the all policy documents available in your state level, also at the central level, and also coming up with a policy which will best fit to your institute. It should not be just a copy and paste, but it should be referring the different policy documents and understanding and implication at the institute level, and then designing that. So we will understand all these steps today, and also we'll learn today that what are the components of NISP that's actually will empower your institutes, or that will enable your institutes to emerge as an innovative and entrepreneurial institute or entrepreneurial university, or as an educational institutes in your region. So these are the policy these are the objectives or learning objectives of today's orientation cum training session. Let me share the slides. Okay, so in brief, I'm part of NISP implementation team. I am Assistant Innovation Director here at Ministry of HRD's Innovation Cell, and I'm also taking the responsibility of implementation of portal ranking of institutional innovation achievement. Also, I have the responsibility to implement Institutions Innovation Council, and also we are running another major program, breakthrough academic program is called MBA or PGDM in Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Venture Development. And this year, 15 institutes have received those are incubators to start this program, and it's an incubation centric program where students will enter at the level, and in the first year they will acquire all kind of skill set related to innovation and startup, and in second year they will start the startup, and at the end of the second year they will graduate with a master's degree with a functional startup with a team of entrepreneurs. So this is the objective of this MBA or PGDM in Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Venture Development program. A national level common entrance examination, it's online entrance examination we have devised, and it is just 2 days back only. The advertisement is published in Times of India in all editions. So we will send all details to you all to spread this message among the students and faculties, and also candidates to apply and to get into this kind of program.
Can you be bit louder, sir?
So it's audible now?
Bit louder, sir.
Okay. So I think it's fine, right?
It's fine.
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Fine, sir.
Okay. So please increase your volume in your system so that you will get the sound properly. So let's come down to our learning objectives. Already I have mentioned that today's learning objective is to sensitize and to orient our NISP coordinators on importance of the entrepreneurship and different entrepreneurial thinkings and the approaches by taking the global context and the national context into consideration. And another learning objective, as I mentioned, that we will understand the policy design, logics, and the performance indicators, how to design and how to set the performance indicators. Also, through this training session, we will develop or build a vision on designing and development of a result-oriented innovation and entrepreneurship policy, or you can say it is action plan at institute level. So these are the learning objectives of today's session, and the session plan is in this way. So I think we are running 15 minutes delay, so maybe we will end the session by 5:30 positively. So these are the session plans. These are the session plans of today's training session, and the first training session, first session is on understanding the policy frameworks. So let's go to the first session. Yes, before getting to the policy framework, so these are the major programs we are running at Ministry of HRD Innovation Cell. The Smart in Hackathon just recently we concluded it, and Institutional Innovation Council, it is just about to conclude this IAC 2.0, and IAC 3.0 is about to launch. And Atal ranking of institutions on innovation achievement, the 2020 edition, with the result is yet to be announced, and also 2020-21 edition also we are going to declare. and national innovation and startup policy. That's you all are the part of this program now. And also we have lined up many international hackathons with countries like SAARC countries and Portugal and other Singapore and other countries. So let's go to the first session. And in the first session, we will learn about different innovation types and entrepreneurship traits, and also we'll understand why entrepreneurship is required for a country to enhance or to increase the economic growth. And also we will understand that how to unleash this entrepreneurship towards economic growth, to achieve the economic growth. And also we'll understand what are the startup development phases and the requirements. Let's go one by one. As for me, the time limit is there, so I will not spend much time. I will try to touch all the important and major points, and I will highlight these points, and later I will share this presentation with you all for detailed reference. So we all know that entrepreneurship we are practicing since age old, because if you will ask entrepreneurship, everybody will say that we are doing it since so many years, like maybe 500, 600, even 1,000 years. I do agree with all these points. What I believe that every human being are born entrepreneurs, because since the day one of civilization, we are struggling, we are coming up with solution, and we are overcoming the challenges we are facing every day. And we have already gone through 4 phases of the industrial revolutions, and we have already embarked into 5th industrial revolution, and which is called blockchain and all kind of artificial intelligence and robotics and all automations. So, but actually, in terms of word entrepreneur, actually entrepreneur word first time coined from French dictionary, and in 1723, first time Richard Cantillon, who is a French economist, who coined this word. And in the dictionary, the definition of entrepreneurship in 1723 is only self-employment and the risk taker. But in 80 and for next 150 years, the word remained in the dictionary. And in 1890, first time another group of economists, and they renamed this term is called leadership. They said that entrepreneurs are the leaders. That's why they have included this leadership component as a 4th factor of production in producing goods and services. So we know that land, labor, capital are the basic factor of production. And the first time in 1890, they have included entrepreneurship or entrepreneur as a leader who functions as a leader as a 4th factor of production. And after that, in 1934, first time, Joseph Schumpeter, I hope you must be knowing this renowned economist who gave the modern definition of entrepreneur, and who had added the innovation component in that defining that entrepreneurship. He said that entrepreneurs are the individuals, also innovators, and they identify a market opportunity and they adopt innovative approaches to bring these entrepreneurial changes. And according to him, which still stands valid today also, according to him, the innovation can be an introduction of a new or improved goods and service. Innovation also can be a new methods of production. Also, he said that innovation can be an opening of a new market, which we can define it as a marketplace innovation. Also, innovation can be an exploitation of a new source of supply, and also innovation can be a re-engineering or the reverse engineering or organization or management process, or also you can say jugaad innovation is also comes under one type of innovation. But what he said that if an individual want to success in his entrepreneurial venture journey, then he or she or her her business model should fit at least 1 or 2 minimum criteria of this innovation. So the more and more criteria your business model will fit these innovations, the chances of getting survival is high. But you will get 100% successful, still it is a question mark. But the more and more innovation component you will encircle, you will embrace, then there is chances of success is high. So this is the type of innovation. Please note it, and this is very, very important, and this will help you to guide your students. And you should not reject anybody if their innovation, if their idea is falling under at least one of these type, because they may not have that developed that kind of mindset to meet all these type of innovation. But definitely, if you will mentor them in right way, with the right spirit, then they will try to accommodate more and more innovation criteria, and finally it will actually give them a big push for the innovation to take into a venture firm. So now comes to the another successful definition, or another benchmarking definition given by the Peter Drucker, who defined the entrepreneurship. So the crux of his definition is that he said that, okay, if any individual has started any business or any innovative please mute. So if anybody has started any innovative business, he may get successful or fail in his venture. But even though that person will get fail in his venture, still he or himself can say that I am an entrepreneur. So this is the actually modern definition given by the Peter Drucker, and from where actually there is a clear distinction between between the entrepreneurs and the businessmen. So businessmen and entrepreneur, the thin line distinction between these two is that innovation and entrepreneurship traits. So let's come down the what are these entrepreneurship traits. Entrepreneurship traits, actually when it inculcate with individuals, then it reflect in terms of action. So what are these entrepreneurship traits? There are minimum, I'm saying this is the basic, and this 4 traits was developed in 1987, just immediate after Peter Drucker gave this entrepreneurship definition. But now if you will see if you go and research the literature, you will find more than 25, 30 and 40 traits. But actually these traits are the breakup of all these 4 types only. So what are these 4 basic traits of entrepreneurship? One is called motivation, and that motivation is also called the self-motivation, and the motivation is within you rather than you are relying on somebody to get motivation. So you have to identify the students, those have this self-motivation, they are qualifying the first level of entrepreneurship. So being a faculty, being a mentor, being a policy agent, being a policy ambassador, it's your responsibility to see that who are the students, those are having the self-motivation to perform any task. And the second criteria for to become an entrepreneur is that, or to behave like an entrepreneur is that, creative tendency. That person should have the creative tendency, have the ability to identify the market challenge or have market opportunities, and have the ability to define a problem and also prescribing solutions to that problem. Actually, this is called creative tendency. And Smart India Hackathon is one program through which we are trying to build this quality among the students, among our teachers. And the third characteristic or third trait is called calculated risk taking. Actually, in contrast, there are many people, those do business without thinking twice, without doing the ground research. They are just start something big because they have the money in their hand, and they assume that they will success, but they fail. When they fail, they blame the others that they are unsuccessful. But actually, those are the good entrepreneurs. They do the basic. They do the basic research. They rely on the fact. They develop the logic, which is self-convincing, also convincing to the other stakeholders, and based on that, they take the quality. Also, another factor which actually one of the characteristic of entrepreneur is called locus of control. When somebody has decided to do something, how much kind of control or how much kind of understanding he has on the different factors playing to perform that task. So maybe that factor may be internal, maybe the factors are the external, which is not the control of the entrepreneur, but that entrepreneur has the understanding and the information regarding the factors. Those are not under control, so that he can change his discourse, he can change the plan as per the uncertainties and the risk comes in. So these are the 4 qualities. Everybody should note these points. And also when you are trying to interact with the students, or when you're trying to devise the institution innovation and entrepreneurship policy document, you should think about that, how to promote, how to increase these 4 characteristics among the students and the faculties. Then your 50% to 70% job is done. So if you will achieve these 4 traits, if you will inculcate, if you will create awareness on these 4 traits among the students, then I think you have achieved 50%. Remain 50%, you have to put extra effort. And for this 4, which is the foundation or basic for any kind of creating the innovation and entrepreneurship culture in a campus or in a system. So now comes to the another further defining, getting into the further depth. So there are, you can classify the whole entrepreneurship into productive and unproductive. Then what is called the productive entrepreneurship? So as I said, that some Peter has given 5 types of innovation. So those entrepreneurs are following this 5 type of innovation, at least 1 out of these 5, we will say that it is called productive entrepreneurship. In contrast, those are not following this, and those are just relying on somebody's favor, then we call it is rent seeking, then we call it unproductive entrepreneurship. So we should discourage entrepreneurs, those are relying on rent seeking, or those rely on somebody's favor, or those are rely on some path to create harmful impact or effect on the competitors. So it is not a healthy competition, right? We should not encourage this kind of things in our campus. Next, another is called, also it is observed that those countries or culture or the institutions encourage unproductive entrepreneurship, it has a very, very negative impact on the economy, and that country performs in very poorly. And that's why the kind of reward structure in the economy, or the kind of incentive structure in the economy, is always a kind of a major factor, or the play a very important role in flourishing of entrepreneurship and the innovator in that economy. So whenever you are designing any kind of policy documents, action plans, you always focus more on reward and incentive rather than coercive and creating pressure and creating harmful impact to the system. And it is already observed that there is a profound effect of the innovativeness and subsequent performance of these entrepreneurs in the economy. So now let's see some graphs. Actually, I have taken this graph from 2010 Global Entrepreneurship Monitoring Report. So that graph says that when you plot countries' GDP per capita and you plot that how many entrepreneurs are exist in that country, then you will find something U-shaped curve. And this curve actually was explaining the situation in 2010. So in 2010, you will find that almost all underdeveloped and developing countries in left side of your left side of this curve, and you will find this Ghana, Zambia, Uganda, then even Pakistan, India, Tanzania, China, Brazil. You will find all these in your left side, and you will find countries like USA, Switzerland, New Zealand, Norway, UK, Sweden, Denmark in your right side. So what is the actually implication from, what is kind of learnings or the implication you can derive from this curve? So this curve or this graph says that when your GDP increases, the entrepreneurship activity first decreases, then again it increases. But the nature of entrepreneurs are different. When you are saying that there is a low GDP, but there are number of entrepreneurs are high, generally they are necessity-driven entrepreneurs. They choose the path of entrepreneurship or business because the economy is not able to give enough jobs or employment to the society. That's why rather taking a job or employment, they choose to become an entrepreneur, and that's also to feed the family, for the enhancement, for the livelihood, not for the creating wealth. So in left side, all the countries are underdeveloped and developing countries, you will find that entrepreneurs are necessity driven. But in the right side, you will find that entrepreneurs are opportunity driven. So they are not doing entrepreneurship to fill their stomach. Their stomach is already full, but they are identifying the problems from the society, and that they are developing some innovative solution to that solution to that that problem, and they are creating business out of this. So they are called opportunity driven entrepreneurs, and in India need opportunity driven entrepreneurs. So once you will start developing this kind of innovation and entrepreneurship policy documents and further action plans and further implementation in your institute, then more and more students will take innovative entrepreneurship as a career alternative career option, and they will contribute to our economy as an opportunity driven entrepreneur. Similarly, another graph says that it is L-shape, and it was taken during the 2010 also. So researcher and the policy makers, they said that there is a very good relationship between GDP per capita or a growth of a country with entrepreneurship activities. But recently, when we take the values in 2019, same GEM report, Global Entrepreneurship Monitoring Report, so that you will find that there will be a zigzag of all these countries, and the new theory emerges from this thing is that they said that the growth the growth curve of entrepreneurship with GDP is kind of S-shaped curve. So in my hand I made this S-shaped curve, but it is if you will go to the research paper, they will say it is S-shaped curve. So India, you will find that we have 15% of entrepreneurship activities in comparison to GDP per capita. So that means what we can infer, that all type of entrepreneurs are not good for economic development. I think we all will agree from what we have studied, what we have learned in the last 10 to 15 minutes. So then what type of entrepreneurs are actually good for our country? One is called productive, and another is called formal entrepreneurs, or the enterprises. Those are focusing on innovation are more important for our country. And especially in context to the small and micro enterprises, if your small and micro enterprise is adopting innovation, then it is good. And if it is simply only copycatting some technology and producing and selling once the market is saturated, and they will close the business, also that's also in short term they may get benefit, but in long term they will not get much benefit. So low quality and informal entrepreneurship also have negative externalities. Like in India, there is an informal economy, and parallelly another formal economy coexist. So the entrepreneurs, those are performing informal. So those are informal, those are not registering in the register of companies. We call it informal because they never contribute back to this economy they never pay tax. So this kind of entrepreneurship, this kind of enterprises also, they contribute less to country's economic growth. So we have to promote the enterprises as defined by DPIIT, Department of Policy and Industrial under Ministry of Commerce, that enterprises or ventures registered under LLP, Limited Liability Partnership, Registered Partnership, Private Limited, or one-person company should be promoted. We should discourage proprietorship only or partnership type of firms. So these are the some inferences we can learn. And also there is another very important learning is that the more and more private sectors will come into the economy, there will be good indicator, or there will be good ground for entrepreneurs to grow. So if anybody will ask, because I have gone through the questions, so somebody is asked that actually what entrepreneurs do, how they help in achieving the economic growth. So first thing is that entrepreneurs through the startup, they promote capital formation, because if you will compare with the big corporates, they also make the capital formation, but that major chunk of resources under the control of the corporates. But in case of startup, because startups are small in nature and they distribute in across all the regions of the country. So small amount accumulate with numbers of startups and they create capital formation in as a whole. So also they create large scale of employment opportunities. Actually, there is a myth that big corporates come to the campus and they recruit more than 2,000, 3,000 engineers in every year. But actually, if you take the total number of jobs they provide, it is just only 10% of the total job. Remain 80 to 90%. Actually, people get job in the large in small scale, medium and enterprises or startups. So we should focus more on startups, and they contribute in terms of creating large scale employment opportunities. Also, they promote balanced regional development because startup can be opened in rural area, startup can be start from the metro, also first, second and third tier cities. So we can assume that startups are equally distributed across all regions. So they promote a balanced regional growth. Also, they break monopoly by big companies. That's what called reduces concentration of the economic powers. And also they contribute in terms of wealth creation distribution, and also they increase the gross national product. Actually, there is a called GDP and there is called GNP. GDP is incomes from the different sources within the boundary of the country, whereas GNP, gross national product, is income or revenue is coming from the beyond the boundary of the country, that is called other countries. So startups having innovation as a innovative business plan or innovative products and services, there is a high opportunity that they will get revenue from the other countries also. That's why they are contributing to the GNP too. And further, they improve the standards of living because they also, in case of startup, they not only taking care of the investors, also they are taking care of all the stakeholders associate throughout the value chains they are working. But in case of corporates, they are only thinking much about the wealth creation or profit generation of shareholders or the investors. In contrast, startups are thinking and taking care of those are associated with them. And similarly, they also promote countries' export trade and induces backward and forward linkages, and they facilitate overall development. So these are the role of entrepreneurs in economic development. I hope I made some concrete points for everybody to get convinced that entrepreneurs and innovations is very, very important for our country and to make our country a $5 trillion economy. And to unleash this entrepreneurship, there is need of private sector development. And what are the key components? There are so many, but I've highlighted only 3-4. One thing is that requisite skill set and technical knowledge based on which the innovation will build and the entrepreneurship will deliver the business that is required. It is called skill and technical knowledge. And also every institute or there should be a system to provide supporting facilities to the startups and entrepreneurs. And also there should be a conducive government policy and political environment, a stable government with a conducive policy documents or the policy for our country will definitely boost the innovation and entrepreneurship activities in our country. And also there is the education system also plays a very, very important role in entrepreneurship development. If you will see the advanced and developed countries, the education system is designed in such a way that it creates more job creators. But actually, Indian education system always getting blamed that we are producing more job seekers. That's why this MBA in innovation and entrepreneurship and venture development course that we came off, it is a kind of a focusing on creating the more job creators rather than the job seekers. Now comes to what are the foundation and pillars for the entrepreneurship. So if you will see these things, though, actually to make these private players to come in to flourish, there should be the law should be much conducive, and it should be incentive in nature rather than the punishing in nature. And also there should be enough physical and social infrastructure should be in place, and also there should be a domestic and global market system should be there to adopt or to consume that goods and service produced by these private players. And these are the called foundations for a private sector to grow. And based on this foundation, entrepreneur pillars built, which is called there should be a conducive business environment, which lay down fair rules and fairly enforced, and also access to finance and resources, access to skill and knowledge. Based on these three pillars, there is a growth of enterprise and entrepreneurship in that particular country. So this is the framework adopted from UNDP for developing entrepreneurship in a particular country, and based on this, generally policies are planned. And if you will take the mortality rate in the startups in our country, so you will find that more than 55% of startups failed before at the funding stage itself. So just to take the value that you can see that 49% startups failed because that their business model is not scalable in nature. 43% of startups or the business models fail because they are not able to generate fund, and there is a crunch in cash related issues, and 21% fail because there is a business model related issues. I have cited certain examples. So these are the examples of startups in Indian context, why this failed, and these are the actually prevailing situations in our country. And through by activating our institutes, educational institutes to become an enabling agent and creating policy agents, and through our policy ambassadors, say if a right innovation and entrepreneurship policy will be in place in the institute, then we can reduce this mortality rate, and that means we are going to increase the chances of success of startups once they will formulated or incepted, and definitely it will reach to it will see the success, you will see the market. And similarly, you will see the mortality before. Though many startups they register, they incept, but before they receive the first stage of seed funding, 50% die because their competency to convince the investor, they're devising a business model which is sustainable, are the major factors of this mortality rate. So why I'm showing this? Because actually these are the areas when you are designing the innovation and entrepreneurship policy, you have to think about, to include and to consider these components in your policy documents, and prescribe certain actions and support systems, and also you can allocate certain resources to overcome these challenges through your innovative solutions or the policy action component. So let's understand that how a entrepreneurship ecosystem or innovation entrepreneurship ecosystem look like if it will establish in your institute. What is the ideal ecosystem actually it looks like? I have created this actually special for you all. So consider these are the higher educational institutes and universities where students and faculties are the potential innovators and the student entrepreneurs. And what they should do, just 1 minute. So what they should do, they should interact with the industry, they should interact with the market and society, and they will get real market challenges and the problems into the board and have to develop the solution. On the other side, also they have to interact with the society, and also they have to interact with the community, and also they have to find out the challenges and the problems faced by our society and community. So problems will come from the both sides, the society and community, also from the industry and market and corporates. And once it is done, so then there will be support system should be like this. So there should be a support system for innovation development. There will be support system for entrepreneurship exposure and skill development, and also there will be support system for startup. Also, there is a support system for technology commercialization. So based on this 4 pillar, and this 4 pillar get strengthened when there is a policy or there is a coherent policy guidance and resource support in place, either at the university level and institute level, in accordance with the state and central government policy document. So once this is done, then actually you are trying to target student startups and the student innovations, and when they will start working very focused way, it creates innovative student enterprises, and that actually drive your innovation and startup ecosystem in your campus, and it will establish a connected by partnering with other institute, other ecosystem enablers at the regional level, at the state level, at the national level, also at the international level, and finally achieving a network ecosystem to leverage the maximum benefit out of this. So these are the kind of ideal ecosystem every institute should aspire for, and they should think about that how that policy should address each and every component by taking all these actions, all these components as action points. So let's understand further in depth. So when you are talking about startup development, the key requirement is that initially all the support systems should start with either you can explore some funding opportunities or through the various governments or the corporate social responsibilities, and slowly when you will acquire the kind of competencies and the skill sets and also experience, and slowly you should open your ecosystem for private service providers and investors to play, because the more and more control you will give delegates to the private players, the more and more the market will get mature, and it will create more a perfect market system, and perfect market system will take care of the interest of all stakeholders, which is the nature's law. It's the principal law of nature that perfect market take care of interest of all stakeholders. You start with deploying resource from your side, also channelizing resource from the various sources, but slowly you move towards giving delegation, outsourcing, and also channelizing the services to the private parties. But meantime, you have to acquire all kind of skill set and experience. Neither private parties will make you dumb. So before it, that you acquire all these things. So what is the timeline? So the timeline is here again. See, consider that if you start today, just assume that it will take minimum 2 years to acquire some certain kind of understanding, skill set, and experience. And after that, once you will achieve the 0, -2, -1, then 0, then you start opening towards start attracting more private players and private services to offer the services kind of things. So these are the timeline. So consider for 5 years. So if you can say that in next 5 years, our target is to produce this much of startups, this much of innovators, this much of patents, this much of technology transfers, then you can say that in first year this much, second year this much, third year this much, and you can plan for a 5 years action plan with increasing targets in every year, and also as you acquire more knowledge and more skill and more competencies. So similarly, you can assume that please mute. So who has kept unmute, please mute. So what are the stakeholders you have to think about? So there are so many stakeholders. So just to divide, there is an idea level, there are different kind of stakeholders at the team creation or at the different level of stakeholders. When you are trying to create a startup, there is different stakeholders. When you are creating a successful business, successful venture out of it, there is different stakeholders. So, but the major stakeholders from institution side is called students, faculties, the startup cell or the pre-incubator or the incubator, and the support organization and the services. Those are going to provide through this pre-incubator and the incubator. Also, the ecosystem enablers playing in your region are the major stakeholders. You have to establish collaboration and also partnership. Also, you have to do lots of activities to engage them on regular basis. So this is depicting that how that startup ecosystem or innovation ecosystem actually goes through. So mostly, if you start that, if you think that the students will start with the idea level, then first is idea creation, then idea validation, then it's called product creation, and there is a business model creation, there is a product validation, there is a business validation. Also for the team level, while simultaneously there will be team formation, team commitment, and startup formation, and also growth of the startup. So these are the kind of areas you have to think about that how you will help your students to start with idea, also to start as a single person idea, but they will end up with a entrepreneurial team with a validated business model in their hand in a 2 to 3 years time, and that is actually your objective to achieve in next 2 to 3 years. I think you all are aware about this. This is called life cycle of venture. It is very understood because many incubators play in this area, because see, there is a dip. It is called valley of death. So valley of death means starting with idea is very easy. You can start with idea, you can be in the cloud 9, and soon you will form a prototype, and also you will start a business. But once you will start the business, well, once you will formulate the startup, after that you have to develop the technology, you have to develop that solution, and you have to bring to the market very soon. The more and more time you will take to bring that solution to the market, there will be high level of risk associated with this. So the sooner you will bring, the sooner the chances of rectification of all kind of fixing the issues and rectifying some mistakes, and again coming up to the market, and you will generate revenue. So the valley of death is once you will start a venture, and when you will generate revenue is called valley of death. So in case of biotechnology companies, this valley of death is big or large, because they have to do lots of research before bringing to the market their innovation. But in case of IT related, it is only 6 months. In 6 months, it has to be see the market once they will start the venture and the business model or the innovation. So the sooner you will generate revenue, the chances of survival is high. So you have to think about that, how you can devise an incubation and pre-incubation system in your campus where you will address this valley of death. Also, you will bring lots of support system at different stages as it is demarcated here. So this is the end of my first session. Now the second session is on what kind of innovation and entrepreneurship measuring frameworks we adopt, not only at our country level, also at the global level. So I hope you all are aware about these 4 things called Global Innovation Index, Global Entrepreneurship Monitoring, GEM report, also auto ranking of institution on innovation achievement, because ARIA is our ranking. ARIA is our country's economy, country's ranking our institutions on the innovation and entrepreneurship achievements. And there is another also ranking is called Global Entrepreneurship Index. So these 4 ranks generally it gives us a very good perspective that how entrepreneurship and innovations are getting measured at different level, not only at the institute level, also at the economy level, and how they rank the countries. And if you will understand this macro aspect, it will help us to design the micro aspect, that is institute level aspect, our key performance indicators, also a policy document which will contribute finally supplement this national level ranking, also the international rankings. So let's go one by one. I will not take 1 minute more in each ranking, but it will help you to understand. Once you will understand it better, it will help you to design the policy in a better way. The first one is called, okay, before that, let's see what is the global startup landscape. India is now positioned 3rd in world. It is one of the strong or the largest startup ecosystem in world. So we are after Israel. US is the first, Israel is the second, and India is the 3rd. So it was plotted, if you see this plot, so India is positioned 3rd. We are not considering China for time being, because China, they are not disclosing much information. So let's don't compare with China in this position, because whole world is not comparing. So we should not also compare at this present. So when they are plotting the government factors, also the country specific indices, and also when they are plotting the graph with the point with the startup activity index, then they found this India is in the 3rd position. But still there are lot of things to do. So let's do what's the things. So in India, almost all founders, more than 75% of the total founders from the startups, they have the age group from 25 to 45. So you can say that most of all of the founders are young. And second thing is that more than 75% of the entrepreneurs or the founders, they have the education background of either engineering or other graduates or postgraduate with MBA. And if you see that what is the proportion of the student startups, it is very less so far. Just in 2016, only 350 number of student startups was noticed by DP, and in 2017 there was a 30% of increase, and I believe in 2019 this number has gone to more than 1500, but still this number is very less compared to the number of students, number of higher educational institutes exist in our country. We are one of the second largest education system in world, and there are more than 48,000 higher educational institutions, more than 2.5 crore students are studying, but from 2.5 crores, only 350 number of startups, student startups. Still, it is, we have to think about it once. And if you see the proportion of the female entrepreneurs, still it is 11% out of this, and whereas the male entrepreneurs are 89%. And we have to promote female entrepreneurship, that means, but it's increasing. And if you compare the global level, in global level also it is only 19%. In 19% is the female entrepreneurs. We are at 11%, but actually we should not say that, okay, if global is 19, we are 11, we should feel proud. No, actually this is actually taking our Indian situation into context. We are still lag behind much. So we have to think about further. Now comes to the different frameworks. So this is called Global Innovation Index. In last 4 years, we have started from 81 position in 2015, and we have reached to 52nd position in 2019, and in 2020 September, the 2020 Innovation Index is coming. So we will see that where India is now jumped from a 52nd position to which position. So this is the one. And also you will see that India's score is 36.58 compared to Switzerland, which is top scorer in this Global Innovation Index, is 67. So that means we are just half away from the top one, the first position. And but we have done some considerable progress on different pillars. So these are the 7 pillars. There are the 7 pillars. So Dr. Soumya Ramani, please mute yourself. Soumya Ramani, please mute yourself. Dr. Vidya, please mute. All please mute. All please mute. Vidya, please mute. So there are 7 pillars based on which this Global Innovation Index is measured, and India has done good progress in knowledge and technology output, which is directly correlated and connecting with our institutions, and where our students are always trying to contribute this knowledge and technological outputs. And also through conducive policies, market sophistication has been done, and our students and our faculties, also our entrepreneurs, they are building their human capital and also research abilities. And this is the where actually we made good jumps, because of which we have jumped from 81 position to 52nd position. Similarly, Global Entrepreneurship Monitor Report, GEM report, is one of the credential report which positioned India under the based on these 12 components. So if you see the where actually India is lacking in R&D transfer, we are lacking. So I have just put 4 out of these 12. I just put only 4 parameters here, and that was a comparison of India 2019, India 2018, also regional average, and regional means Asia at Asia level, how India is performing, and there is a global average. So if you will see that our performance, our role, our responsibility are increasing in year by year in last 3 to 4 years, and we can assume that we can expect that we are in next 2 to 3 years, once every higher educational institutes will start adopting this innovation policy, and they will start implementing this innovation and entrepreneurship policy in campus, then this number also India will position in a very high level in this GEM metrics. And another one is called Global Entrepreneurship Index. And Global Entrepreneurship Index, it was also started in 2009. And it based on the entrepreneurial attitude, based on entrepreneurial ability, based on entrepreneurial aspiration, of among the people in a particular country, they measured, and India scored 78 position, and it ranked 78, and it scored 25 out of 100, and United States is the topmost. And also there is a lots of scope, and if you will take, this is also one of the bases where we should think about. And I think this is the way our institutes can think about that, how we can build our capacity, our skill set, our competency on all these sub indices under this entrepreneurial attitude, entrepreneurial ability, and entrepreneurial aspiration. So these are the local play components. There is a ample opportunity and scope for our institutions to design this policy and to develop and to implement and to achieve in next 3 to 4 years of time period. And auto ranking is needless to say, because you all are the part of it. Many institutes are waiting for the result. Definitely, we are understanding your concern, and soon we are going to think, because actually there is some administrative process we have to follow. So we are following because Honorable His Excellency is going to announce. So please bear with us. But these are the best on these indicators. We have developed a Indian version of ranking, our startup ecosystem, innovation ecosystem in our higher education institutes. So we have taken the budget, we have taken so they are based on the input, output, process, and outcome parameters. There are 7 parameters, 7 parameters. We have devised this ARIA framework, and we are measuring and we are giving direction to our institute that in which component they are strong, in which component they are weak, and how they will build their making their strong to further stronger point, and how to build their weak points to a strong point. So these are the rankings. And now the second session is over. Now third session is that we have to understand the market failure, because when you are going to be a policy ambassador and as a policy agent, you have to understand what is market failure. You have to understand what is government intervention. Also, you have to understand how to devise the policy and how policy plays important role. See, market, as I said, that market is in a perfect market take care of the interest of all stakeholders. So but generally nowhere there is the existence of the perfect market. So market always dynamics, market always changes, it always get affected with lots of factors. So there is a high chance that market will fail, and once the market will fail, then there is opportunity for government to intervene through government intervention. And how they intervene through the policy documents. So you just take the example that NISP is a policy document by the government to address the market failure of not making our higher education institute as innovative as entrepreneurial. The environment, the enabling factors in our institutes there is some lacking. That's why through this policy document, government is bringing some interventions, trying to address this market failures through different policies. So this is a simple example which you can correlate, and you will understand that how it is going to happen. So we will first understand this one. Somebody is talking, so please mute yourself. My sincere request, please mute. Please mute. So this is a picture where there is 3 boxes, right? There is a general public and citizen, and there is a government, and there is a goods and services. So these 3 components, they make a triangle, and it is a relational triangle. So how it is a relationship? General, public, and citizen, they depend on goods and service for their daily requirement, for the wealth creation, for the meeting their requirement and aspirations. And government is an institution which play a balanced role and ensure that there should be a distributive policy. There will be a well distribution of the goods and service among the general public and citizen, so that there will be less inequality. There will be less. There will be quite a unequal growth, and also they ensure that goods and services are well distributed. I have already requested somebody, please talking, please mute yourself. It is a humble request. You have to understand, this is I'm taking so much of pain. Please mute yourself. Still somebody is talking. Titi, please mute everybody except me. Titi, please mute everybody except me. Somebody is not listening. So if you have not just opened your mic and you are doing other work, please mute it and do your other work. Don't disturb others, please. Okay, so where the market failure? So if you'll see that there are three junctions, right? There is a green and there is a red junctions. So in the green junction, it is called, if that is relation will break, we call it is market failure. If that red color junction, if the red junctions break, we call it is government failure. So why market fails? If in a country there are enough goods and service, but these goods and service are controlled under the government, and government only take the decision to whom to give, to whom to not to give. Like country like in China and Russia, where the socialist countries, there will be no market. There is always a market failure. So that is called, one is called public goods. If the country's public good is much controlled by the government, then there will be a market failure. If there is a not much competitive market, then also there is a market failure. If there is information asymmetry and nobody knows that what product available where, how much price, also there is a market failure. Also there is externalities like that. If your market is getting influenced by any external factor, like there is, if changes in another country also it's affecting your country, then also there is a market failure. Where the government fails, if government give extraordinary power to one company to create the monopoly in the market, then also there is a government failure. If government will assign the responsibility, will not distribute the wealth, like in coal ghotala, that is a coal mining ghotala in long years back. So that there is a kind of, when the responsibility is not transparent, when the distribution of the wealth is not transparent, allocation of wealth is not in transparent way, that is also called government failure. Inefficiency, if there is no incentive or for the innovation, or somebody has Satrughna Mishra, please mute yourself. Satrughna Mishra, yes. So inefficiency is also one of the reason why government fails. So government system should encourage, should give incentive to the best performers. It should reward the best performers. Then only there will be more encouragement, more competition will come. And similarly, if there is inconsistency, if government will change frequently, also there is a government failure, because bureaucracy system will also change accordingly. And another reason is that if government will be high rigid in bringing some changes, that's also called a government failure. So these are the reasons of market failure and government failure. Similarly, there is some corrective measures also required if there is a failure. So what is the corrective measures? So there is needs of check and balance. If something is happening is wrong, we have to do something check and balance, through which we have to check this malpractice or the unethical way of conducting the activities. Also, if required, we have to bring performance focused management systems. Also, we have to continuously evaluate our policy, so that we will bring changes, as Dr. Jere sir said that we will also discuss with you through the process of continuous feedback system to bring lots of changes in our NISP. So this is called the continuous evaluation and analysis of the policy. Also, we have to encourage e-participation, and through collaborative governance also we can increase the performance. So this is the called national level market failure and government failure. I am going to show you one example at the institute level how it will happen. So this is the institute. So just to replace that, you are the university and institute, and your students are there, and your innovation startup services has to come up. So just assume that if you will not do all these things, then there is a high chance that your policy is going to fail, your system is going to fail to achieve this objective. So during the design of this policy, innovation startup policy for your institute, you just think this diagram. So another common thing is that Radhakrishna EK. Okay, so there are 6 P's and of a policy framework. It starts with the problem. So problem identification is the first stage of policy designing. So when you will start thinking about designing the policy, innovation and entrepreneurship policy for your institute, you first set up a committee, and through the committee you identify what are the problems, what are the things you want to solve for your institute to develop a innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. So identification of the right problem is the very crucial for successful of the policy. Many policies got paralyzed, many policies got failed because that they have not identified right problem. So it's depend on that how you are, what process you are identifying the right problem. Once you will identify the right problem, the next step is that you have to include, you have to engage all stakeholders associated with all this ecosystem, who are going to either affected or going to benefit out of this policy. So all the persons, those associates through this problem and those are going to benefit are the stakeholders. So then once you will identify these people, is called the policy stakeholders. Then it's called the process. Through the lots of tools and the brainstorming and focused group discussion and through other, by using so many analysis, you have to develop a policy document, and that policy document has to meet with requirement of laws and regulations. Also, you have to allocate the resources to make it functional. So people, process, resource allocation, and paper, that is called laws and regulation requirement. Your policy should be in accordance with the other policy documents. Your policy documents should be aligned with the ethics and the law under the constitution of our constitution. So similarly, once you have achieved this one, then you have to start implementing that policy by formulating various key programs under the policy. And once your program will start, then you have to regularly you have to analyze that policy. You have to see that how that policy document is getting that policy component or the policy action, policy programs are getting implemented, how it is actually giving the results, what are the outputs, what are the impacts you are creating. That is called the policy analysis. So in simple terms, policy analysis involves two things. One is called monitoring and evaluation, another is called impact evaluation. So monitoring evaluation help you in progress monitoring. It will show that during this program implementation, how you are performing. Are you in the desired way as you set in the objective or not? Are you progressing towards achieving the targets, milestones or not? This is called monitoring evaluation. Impact evaluation says that what you are today, and after 1 year, what you were after 3 years, how you are performing, and how these programs are actually bringing permanent change in the mindset, in the culture, in the behavior among the students, in the society, in the institution itself. It is called impact evaluation. For impact evaluation, you have to carry out the baseline survey first at the beginning of the policy and designing and implementation. Also, you have to conduct the survey every 1 year, 2 year, 3 year for next 5 to 6 years to see that is that growth curve is going up, or once the program is over, it is again declining. That means your policy or your action plans are not efficient. It was only efficient when it was enforcing. If you will not create any permanent change in the mindset, in the action of the people, then this is not a policy document. This is not a policy action. This is not a policy program. So there is called a problem solving approach to make it happen. So I will show you in snapshot. So this is called the policy process analysis. Actually, it has various components, and it's when you start analyzing the situation during the designing of the policy and also during the implementation of policy, you have to first define the problem, and also you have to set how to measure that problem. You have to quantify, you have to set some quantifiable measurable component, how to define, how to verify that problem. And after that, you have to set certain evaluation criteria in the beginning through either that is called key performance indicators, and also you have to set milestones. You have to set certain baseline survey values so that you can integrate this monitoring evaluation and impact evaluation throughout the process. and these are the circles, and what it says that your whole implementation should be focused to achieve the vision and mission of your policy documents that you have set in the beginning of the implementation. And also you have to use lots of logical thinking tools and parameters, and also metrics and the flow charts, and say like you have to do lots of stakeholder analysis, you have to do social network analysis, you have to do lot of political analysis, you have to go through lots of system thinking and simulation, and also forecasting, cost analysis, that how much resource you can allocate, how much resource you have to get from the other sources. Also you have to do lots of baseline survey, sampling, data collection, and also you have to see that what are the internal factors, what are the external factors. So taking all these things into consideration, you have to design the policy, you have to set the evaluation criteria, and accordingly you have to start implementing. And you should not neglect what is your limitation. You have to define that this is the limitation, and this is the boundary, and this is the outliers, and this is the systems where we are operating. So develop a very, very inclusive policy document by involving all stakeholders, by bringing lots of experts into the action, into the committee, and that committee will brainstorm, and then you come up with your policy by scanning the other policy documents. And taking NISP document is one of the best reference document. And let's understand that how problems actually, how can define the problem, and how we can set a problem. I mean, many times what happen, we define problems very, very inappropriately, and we consider something different things as a problem, and we devise a solution for something which is actually not a problem. So that is actually problem where you have to think. So just imagine that now what is the problem, what is the then how to define a problem tree. If you will develop a problem tree, then it is very, very easy to define a solution. Like when we say that if you have something like having some disease, or you find something, feel difficulties in pain, something, once you will reach doctor, you are 50% cured, and remain 50% only doctor has to do. So that means if you will develop this problem tree and solution tree, so then you are 90% done. I'm not saying 50%, you are 90% done. So let's start with some example that how NISP, when we designed the NISP, how we have used the tools. So first thing is the development challenge. So what our country is facing is called development challenge. What our country is trying to overcome is called development challenge. The development challenge is for us that from the institution or from our higher education point of view is that there is a high unemployment rate among the graduates. So this is one of the challenge our country has to overcome, has to come up with some solution. And another also challenge equally important is that there is a prolonged cognitive phase to choose entrepreneurship as a career alternative. It means, in a very layman language, it means our students during the study time, they focus more on study, and once they start doing job, and after working for more than 5 years or 10 years only, they realize that they are not fit for job, and they think that they discover their entrepreneurship intent, and they want to become entrepreneur. Why somebody need 10 years time to discover his interest to become an entrepreneur? Why not during the academic itself? So this is one of the policy issue. This is one of the development issue challenge that we want to address through this NISP. That's why we've taken this as the base of the problem tree. And based on this, we have identified that lack of entrepreneurship culture and practice among students and faculties in technical institution is one of the major reasons of this. If we will address this lack of entrepreneurship culture, if we will try to, if this is the thing exists in our institute, that's why we are seeing many high unemployment rate among the graduates. Also, our students are not getting proper information and awareness at the academic. That's why they take more than 10 years to realize their dream. And if you will see this one, then I will say that this is the intermediate. This is the intermediate effects, and there is a existence of the predominance of job-seeking attitude. And when there is a high job-seeking attitude among the students, and there is a very low self-employable rate, that is the skill set. When there is a there is not much understanding that entrepreneurship or startup is a alternative career option, and also there is a inconsistent or weak pipeline for innovation and entrepreneurship in our educational system. So these are the factors actually play intermediate between the lack of entrepreneurship culture and there is a high unemployment rate and prolonged entrepreneurship as a career objective. So when we classified all things, actually the problem is lack of entrepreneurship culture, because we can solve that, because which you cannot solve, it is not a problem. So the problem is that something that we can solve. That is, then the core problem is lack of entrepreneurship culture and the practice among the students. And the effect is this. These two are the effect, but the measure it, and because of the core problem generates certain effects. But sometimes what happens, because we could not understand what are the problem, what are the effect, and what are the sub causes of the things, then we take anything as a cause what we perceive, that we're trying to devise some solution, and when the solution never meet the criteria or the never meet the requirement, then we say it is a completely failure of the system. And that's why first thing you have to classify, you have to develop a problem tree, and that problem tree will define what is your challenges, what is your effect, what is the core problem. And once your core problem is defined, then you have to define that how this core problem comes in, what are the sub problems. And the sub problems is that the first sub problem, I hope you all will agree. I am not going to tell all the sub problems, but I am going to list out the major sub problems. The first thing is that there is a absence, or there is a low existence of very absence of critical mass of practicing entrepreneurs or practicing innovators, and there is a absence of awareness among these people. That's the one of the reason why our culture and practice is not there. Entrepreneurship culture and practice is not there. So that is a low level existence of critical mass of motivated student. Once the student get motivated, once they get in proper information, then they will start acting on it. So more absence of critical mass, critical means certain minimum number of students and faculties in the institute. Those are motivated students to perform entrepreneurship and orientation, entrepreneurship orientation and the skill set. This is one of the reason. And the second one is called also in majority of the institute, you will find that there is absence of support facilities and resource access for the potential and early stage innovators and entrepreneurs to work on their ideas and to work on their ventures. In majority of institutes, it is completely lacking. This is also one of the reason, sub problem of the core problem. And the third one is called what we are trying to focus through the various innovation ambassador trainings, and already we have created more than 8,000 innovation ambassadors and innovation agents by training the faculties and the students. And that's because we realize that in our educational institute there is a lack of in-house expert capacity, in-house mentorship capacity among the faculties to mentor innovators, to mentor business on business skills. Maybe there will be many faculties have the technical expertise, but they have absence of orientation in mentoring entrepreneurs, mentoring innovators, and every innovation has the business aspect. And when faculty will try to mentor from the academic aspect, then there is a kind of a missing link to convert the technology into innovation. And that's why many technologies we develop in our technical institutes that remain in the lab. It never seen the market. The technology transfer is very less in our educational institute. That is one of the indicator also. And another thing also what we have observed through our experience and research is that even though there are many departments exist in the campus, and also there are multiple departments that are working in the area of innovation and entrepreneurship, they hardly interact. The students between the institutes, within the departments, they hardly collaborate. And this is the reason why there is a thinly connected or absence of inter-institutional linkages. So we have identified these major 4 problems. I understand there are many other problems, but for the sake of your understanding, I have only mentioned these 4 problems here as a sub-problem. Once you will identify the core problem and the sub-problem, then the next is called developing what are the cause of this problem. Once you will understand the cause, then it is very easy to find a solution to that cause. So let's understand what are the causes. So I hope you all will agree that the major causes of this sub-problem 1, that is low-level existence of critical mass of motivated student in entrepreneurship innovation, is called lack of awareness, lack of motivation, lack of experiential learning tracks, lack of relevant skill. That is called the causes of less motivated students. And also for the second cause, for the second sub-problem is called lack of dedicated infrastructure, and there is a weak delivery system and access to the resource and absence of repository and recognition process. And the causes for the third sub-problem is called absence of in-house trained professionals and lack of incentives and lack of in-house research in entrepreneurship. So another, and for the fourth sub-problem, there is a weaker inter-department linkage, weaker inter-institutional linkage, and absence of referral support system to connect our students and faculties in their innovation to other nearby incubators and the research park. So this is called a problem tree, which classify we set the core problem, also which set the development challenge, that is called the major effect that our country is suffering through, and then also identifying what are the sub problems to the core problem, then identifying what are the causes to the sub problems. Once you have completed this one through the brainstorming, so you can use this technique, because I'm going to share this PPT as it is, so that you can use it for your understanding. You can run these exercises in your campus. Also, you can come up, you can brainstorm among the faculties and the experts and the students to identify the core problem in your institute to have this policy, innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem in campus. So once you will have this problem tree, so we have to devise the solution to this. This is called the policy logic. This is called the problem tree. This is called the policy problem tree. Once you will, so how to devise the solution tree? So solution tree is just reverse of the problem tree. So you just reverse it. So the causes will come to the bottom as a solution, and the bottom, the development challenge, will go to the top as a goal, as a long-term goal. So let's see that how it's a thing. So now we have to set a vision document for your policy. Also, then this is the things. So what I have done, I have just converted the development challenge in the problem tree as increasing the employment rate through self-employment is the vision document. Then the effect, the second layer effect is called, the core problem is called, and the core problem is called your goal or long-term objective. Okay, and similarly, somebody is asking me the remote control request. Who is Renuka Devi madam? Please don't ask me remote control request. I'm not going to give. I will share this presentation. Please bear with me. And I'm getting interrupted because of this kind of request which I'm coming in the screen. Okay, so when I'm converting my sub problems into the outcomes or the objectives, and these are 4, and converting. So what I'm doing, the problems I have identified, I'm just resentencing, I'm just reframing that problem statement into a solution statement. So it is very easy, right? How to develop a problem tree and identifying the problems, effect, then sub problems, the causes, then just reversing that and setting and converting the wordings into solution form. Okay, so these are called the outcomes or objectives that you want to achieve. Then what are the deliverables or the outputs, the immediate outputs from the program? These are the outputs. So aware and motivated student faculties and deliver education on innovation entrepreneurship is the output or deliverable to achieve the first objective or first outcome. And dedicated faculty and infrastructure, enterprise support and access to resource is your second output or deliverables that you are going to achieve. Similarly for third and fourth. And now comes to to achieve this output, to deliver these things, what are the activities and the actions you are going to perform. So these are called things. So you have to organize workshops, you have to organize lectures, you have to conduct online classroom education, training and mentoring, or you have to integrate the experiential learning. Similarly, for second objective, you have to conduct, you have to establish innovation cell, you have to establish startup cell, you have to establish incubator, you have to establish pre-incubator, all kind of things. You have to also scout and recognize, support ideas in your innovation startups on regular basis. Also, you have to create a repository of innovation and startups. And similarly, for the third vertical, also there is, you have to set up advisory service expert pool. You have to conduct a training on FDP, EDP to develop the mentorship capacity among the faculties. And also you have to set incentives for experts and the mentors. Those will engage in these mentorship activities. And also you have to conduct research activities in entrepreneurship. And similarly, you have to conduct lots of convergence. You have to see that how the programs exist in other departments, in other institutes, in other ministries, in at the state level and central level, how you will bring these innovation, challenge resources, funding opportunities, benefits for your students. So through this, so these are kind of activities, output deliverables, outcomes, or the short-term objectives, impact, goal, or long-term objectives, and at the top, vision and national or development goals. So like that, you can set up your vision, your mission, your outcome, your output, your activity for your institute level. And you have to think about, understand this problem tree, and have to convert this into solution tree. Also, we are calling it is called the objective tree. Also, we are calling it as a policy logic. So once this logic is fixed, once it is validated, once it is done, then your 70% is already done. You have to now convert. You have to start preparing the documents through lots of consultative workshops, through by referring the other documents and other policy documents. Pradeep K. Anand, please mute yourself. So for that, to perform these activities, you need inputs and resources at your level. You have to allocate these inputs and resources. So what are the inputs? You should have the 1% budget allocation that we provision under NISP. Also, we have the financial budget. You have the human resources. You have to materials and equipments to do this. And you can see that this is just a micro action plan. I have just classified if this is the objective that you want to achieve, then what is the activities and actions you have to undertake. And you, for this, before the beginning, you have to benchmark by conducting a baseline survey and setting up key performance indicators so that you can monitor, and also you can do impact evaluation on time to time. And for that, you have to set the key performance indicators, as I mentioned, and you can observe your outcome, output and outcome, and also you can achieve the goal that you have set for your education system. And this is a small snapshot of how you are going to set performance indicators for your at the institute level. So this is not the complete form. Just I have given certain indicators that you can adapt, but still you can make much revision, and still you can, through brainstorming, through by taking experts into table, you can further developing more and more key performance indicators at the institute level. And this is actually progress monitoring sheet for our level. At NISP level also, we adopt certain kind of benchmarking and baseline survey, and also progress monitoring sheet. And also we check that how we are implementing the NISP among the institutes. So these are some kind of components. This is just for a snapshot that how we are doing. So this is the, I've completed the 4 sessions. Now I've come to the 4th session. I think this is the last session of this today's training session. And I think it is 4:47. I'm stick to the timeline, and I believe in next 20 to 25 minutes I will complete this NISP, the 4th session on NISP. This is also very, very important session, because those have not studied, those have not gone through the policy documents, they will get first-hand information from here. And so let's understand what are the dimension and thrust areas, and also let's understand what are the policy provisions for higher educational institutes to adopt, and also where to start. And let's understand that actually what are the dimensions and the thrust areas of this national innovation startup policy suggest to our higher educational institutes. So NISP actually started in 2019 on 11th September. Our honorable minister sir has launched it, and Actually, this is the second edition. Actually, before that, it was AICTE startup policy. But our honorable minister has said that why AICTE is only policy for the technical institute, and why not it for all the institute, all non-technical institutes, all higher educational institutes. That's why when MHRD Innovation Cell came up, then we revised the AICTE startup policy, which was launched in 2016 November 2016. Then we have came up with another committee under the chairmanship of Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala sir, and this is the NISP took step, and now we are implementing it, and you all are the part of it now. And so it is a very good journey that we have gone through in the last 3 years, because I was part of AICTE Startup Policy Committee implementation team, and now I'm part of NISP. So I'm feeling privileged that I'm getting this opportunity to interact with you all and to be part of this NISP. And so these are the thrust areas of NISP 2019. So if you will go through the policy document, it is a more than 25-page document. But I'm trying to make you understand only in this one slide. See, the whole thing is classified into 5 components. 5 major components. The first component is called this policy recommends and suggests every higher educational institutes to develop strategy and also bringing innovation in governance by towards promoting and supporting innovation and entrepreneurship. And it can be achieved if the highest authority of the institute, if the vice chancellor and the leaders, top authority of institutes will take this innovation and entrepreneurship into context, and they will include it in the policy document, in the mission document and vision of institute, that institute want to become an entrepreneurial, that institute want to become an innovative institute in next 4 to 5 years of the timeline. So institute has to do put lots of effort in bringing innovation and integrating innovation and entrepreneurship activities and start in the strategy and also at the governance level, at the mission level. And this is the first component. Under this first component, there are 3 sub-components. One is called creating innovation pipeline and pathways for entrepreneurs. So through this, through set of actions, institute should develop certain action plans and support system through which they will create lots of so many ideas and innovations and startups or student entrepreneurs to generate from their academic institute, and they will feed to the incubation unit for further support. And the second component under the second sub-component under the first component is called building organizational capacity, human resources and incentive. So it is very, very equally important, because when you're trying to support when you're trying to put efforts to make your student and faculty to behave as an entrepreneur, at the same time institute also have to develop competency and have a competent human capital, or the persons team should be at work, and they have all kind of skill sets to execute these programs in a full with spirit and passion. And institute should come up with lots of incentive and reward system for these people for the additional and extra efforts and dedicated efforts they are putting to create to develop a vibrant and dynamic innovation and startup ecosystem in the campus. And the third sub-component under this A component is called institute has to, because every institute cannot bring or cannot invest that much of resources and capital to create these things. So sometimes they have to collaborate, sometimes they have to partner, sometimes they have to co-create through the knowledge exchange and through business relationship. That's why collaboration, co-creation and partnership are the main tool should be integrated in the strategic approach to when you are planning for implementing these strategies. So what are the second main component that prescribed under NISP is that norms for faculties and student-driven innovation startups. So I think somebody is on mute. नहीं जो हिंदी में बोल रहे हैं प्लीज आप म्यूट कीजिए. जो अभी मुझे अमित प्रभाकर जी प्लीज म्यूट कीजिए. हाँ म्यूट कीजिए, म्यूट करके बात कीजिए आप। तो यहाँ बात करने से आपका सीक्रेट हमको पता चल रहा है। So we are getting know your secrets. So don't reveal your secrets, please. Just joking. Just joking. Please mute yourself. So there are norms for faculty and student driven innovations and the startups. So this component prescribes incentives for faculties and students for entrepreneurship. Also, it sets norms for faculty startups, because we don't want our teaching quality will get hampered if a faculty will engage in startup activities. So we have taken care that a faculty also will get opportunity to start a startup. Simultaneously, the teaching quality, teaching things should not be affected. And that's why the second component has three components: B1, B2, and B3. And the third component is called every institute should aim for developing pre-incubation support system and also incubation support system. So I think it is very easy to start the pre-incubation support system because it is less capital intensive, and also there is a minimum resources required. But for incubation, we understand it is a very high capital intensive intervention. So institute may take a stage that it will start 1 year. First, they will start with pre-incubation. They will gain the experience. They will raise the competencies. They will get the kind of a skill set and the collaboration skill set. And then slowly they will start the incubation in next 1 to 2 years. Those have not done anything, but those institutes have already incubation and pre-incubation. They can develop a synchronized activity among the pre-incubation incubation, so that pre-incubation will do the pre-incubation part, and they will feed more and more potential student startups and student innovators to the incubation support to provide the incubation facilities. And similarly, the fourth major component describes IP ownership, which is the most gray area in higher educational institutes to intervene. That in this IP ownership, we found as one example cited by our Dr. Jere sir, that most of the institute generally they got funding support from different ministries or the different sources to develop certain technologies, and faculty, those are engaged in technology development, they assign these activities or they engage students to do this research, and through this research, the technology or the knowledge they generate, generally they go for IP or patent filing or other IP protections. So what happened? The funding is given by one X, and it was routed through institute, and why the faculty has done it by engaging Z, that is students, and patent was filed. So students are not bothering about what the technology is going to happen. Once their academic is over, they are just happy with the certificates they received that they have contributed to this project, and they are just taking the job. What faculty do, because they have filed a patent, they show that patent is on my name, and I am happy that I'm ready for I will claim for my promotion. And what institutes do, because the institute has very passive and passive role, and they've not taken much seriously. That's why sometimes patent also filed in the name of faculty, and though money is routed through the institute, now institute has no ownership. In some cases, institute has the ownership, but institutes are not bothering because they have never thought about this. The technology actually is developed, and they are just for the library. They will show that this is the technology developed. So in this form, the ownership of the technology is a question mark. So in Hindi we call lavaris. So these technologies are now in the lab or in the library, and nobody is there to take the ownership. And that is the major reason why many technologies are never seen to the market, and they're never converted into a technology transfer. It is never transferred to the industries for the purpose it has been created. And that is the where actually because bringing that IP ownership right, and also engaging, creating a sense of belongingness, that is where actually IP ownership defines. And also the fifth one is also very, very important, because this is our core strength. Our higher education institute has the strength to implement, because they are the academic institute teaching is their main major service or major service to the country. So bringing pedagogy and learning intervention in the area of entrepreneurship and innovation and design thinking and IPR, intellectual property right, should be the first priority. And the sixth component is the monitoring and impact evaluation and performance assessment in every regular interval to see that how the things will improve further and further in every 1 to 2 year of time period. So this is called sixth component. So assessment can be done at the student level, assessment can be done at the institute level, assessment can be done at the university level, assessment can be done at the state level, also assessment can be done at the national level. So this is the way actually all the major thrust areas and the components under NISP. And in a nutshell, I can say that creation of innovation fund for supporting innovative projects and startups by allocating minimum 1% of institutional total budget is one of the major and highlighting feature of NISP. So many times our higher educational institutes, they always give a justification that they have no money, they have no money, they have no money, and they're always waiting for government and the ministries and other departments to give a grant, and then only they will start. But they take money, they take tuition fee from the students. When you are creating a provision that you are charging certain amount as a placement fee, then why you are not put a provision there itself in that same tuition fee that you are charging, things you are collecting, and or the budget you are provisioning in your annual budget? Why you are not allocating 1% of the total budget of your budget towards promoting innovation? See, if you will start with from here, from the beginning of the activities, you will not get deprived of any resources. You have at least something to start with. Once you will start with something, then you approach to different ministries and you showcase and demonstrate that, sir, this is our own resource, and based on which we have started this much of activity, and this is our policy document, and this is our action components, this is our annual targets, and this is our achievement so far, and please support us. Then I believe every nation's government, every state government, every industry, every even institutes higher authority, they will listen to you. You can able to convince them, and that way you can generate more resources for that. And that's why you have to start with yourself first, rather than waiting for somebody's other's resource to come in, then only you will start. If you will wait like this, if you will then time is not so far, you will always stay in the behind and other people will cross you. And another path-breaking feature of our NISP is that there is an academic break, for either a semester break or an annual break for the student startups, for the faculty startups. If any student or if any faculty want to start a business by registering as per the DPIIT norm, that is as a private limited, as a LLP, or as a one-person company, or as a you can say that private registered partnership, then they have to first take a approval from the competent authority of that institute. They have to inform that this is the actually technology developed from the institute, or this is the business model they have developed, and they, with the notice of the institute, they have to start the company either at the incubation unit of institute, or they can incubate outside, or they can deny for an incubation unit. But they have to inform with the approval from the competent authority. That is, if it is autonomous institute, then institute itself, head of the institute is the competent authority. That's why in this policy document, when you are going to design, keep this provision that your institute have the your board of directors or the board of governing body, or the governing body has taken this option, consider this clause, and given authority to the institute head to set up a committee, and to on case-to-case basis they can give approval to the students and the faculties those will apply for start the business or the start the startup during their academic or during the teaching and learning period. So through this, if any such kind of faculty and student want to start, they can take year break of either 1 semester or 1 year based on the committee of that particular institute prescribed, and they can give full-time efforts, and after that they can come back and they can take either, if it is student, they can complete their academic, and if it is faculty, they can join the job again. And similarly, also because we understood that there is a quite discrepancy happening in our incubation. Many incubation units, as one example also cited by Dr. Jere today morning, just before in the beginning of this session, that there are many incubators. They charge a high percentage in the equity or the ownership when any startups or any student startups comes to them for the incubation support. So in the first thing is that many incubators, they are getting support, they are getting funding support from the government, and channelizing this government fund also they are charging a very more than 30, 40, 50% of the ownership. It is actually very wrong. So see, if you will take 50% ownership at the beginning, how that startup will survive, how they will raise investment fund, how much of percentage they will give to the investor, if other founders, if they will found somebody suitable to join the board. So that's why we understood, we have scanned the whole environment, and committee came to point that taking all legality into consideration, an incubation unit, if they are going to charge any equity, it can be vary from 2% to 9.5% the total equity of that startup, but not more than 9.5%. So this is the upper cap of an incubation unit exists within the institute to charge to an incubating company. And similarly also ownership, as if that patent of if the intellectual property of that service or the goods or service or the process, if in the process of developing that ownership intellectual property, if there is no use of resources of institute in substantial way, then in that case institute or faculty cannot claim ownership or claiming the percentage in that intellectual property as a owner, as a co-inventor. So only institute and faculty can claim ownership or percentage as a co-inventor if resource of institute or faculty has contributed in substantial way. Similarly, if a faculty has developed any technology but not used institute's resource, institute cannot claim ownership on that. Similarly, in the same fashion, I can say that if substantial resource of institute has been used, a faculty cannot file the patent only on their name, excluding institute. So it is taking student, faculty, and institute into consideration. Based on the situation, committee, the institutes will set up a committee, and they can resolve the disputes, and they can also consider all these ownership percentage and kind of things on case-to-case basis. And the third one is called a service to be offered by institution in lieu of equity, and then fee-based or zero payment model also can be adopted. Consider in many institutes, if they feel that they have enough resources, they can say that no, we don't want any equity. Let's our first startups to get support from our side, and on return of the service they are offering, they can charge only rental, or they can charge on free basis also. So these are the features. I have detailed version. The detailed version is already in the YouTube, but I will just take the glance of the things of each component by highlighting 1-2 points. So let's go to the first component, that is strategy and governance for promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. So under this, every higher educational institute should formulate a higher educational institute level document in accordance with the NISP, also the state startup policies, and they should include this entrepreneurship and innovation in mission statement, and they should give and delegate enough authority and freedom to the NISP coordinators to design, to implement, and to monitor and to coordinate and to achieve the target set by the policy document. And proper team should be a competent team with regular training should be given to the NISP coordinators to enforce this policy or to implement this policy at institute level. And also institutes should focus on intra and inter-institutional relationships to promote entrepreneurship and innovation agenda, and they can, for the resource mobilization, as I already said, that they can start with deploying their own resources, and 1% of fund of the total annual budget they can make provision. Also they can raise funds from the diverse resources called state and central government agencies, and incubation fund support under CSR section 135 of Company Act 2013 also giving empowerment to incubation units to raise the fund. Also the institutes can raise fund through sponsorship, donation from alumni network. And as you all know that IIC Institutions Innovation Council is under implementation, and so far in last 1.5 years we have established IIC in more than 1700 higher education institutes, and IIC is going, actually it's one of the phenomenal success we have experienced. And also Atal ranking, so every institute should participate in Atal ranking, every institute should establish IIC, also every institute should participate in Smart India Hackathon. But for Smart India Hackathon there is a small limitation, only technical institute can participate, but other institute can participate in IIC and ARIA. So please do proactively, all NISP coordinators, please take this point into consideration, and please ensure that your institute should have this IIC, ARIA and SIH. And now comes to the creating the innovation pipeline. So pathways for entrepreneurship. So higher education institutes should ensure maximum students should participate and go through the pre-incubation at least. And pre-incubation gives us a kind of a supporting system to identifying the right problem identification to this solution development, proof of concept development, prototype development, and business model development. So institutes should think about how pre-incubation system should activate as soon as possible, and for if you have already incubation unit, then aligned with it with the pre-incubation unit. And those institutes have no incubation unit, please try to collaborate with nearby incubation unit that exists in your region. Also you connect your students, those complete this pre-incubation part with the nearest incubation unit for further competition. And you have to organize these business plan competitions, innovation competitions. You have to encourage the students to take internship in startups, and also you have to invite successful innovators, successful entrepreneurs. You have to share their experience, and you have to, they will motivate and they will inspire. And also you have to conduct hackathons and national innovation contest in your campus. Now comes to the building organizational capacity and human resource and incentives. This is very, very important from the institute point of view, because actually when you are planning, but if there is no competent team to implement it and they will not understand the dynamics, then there is no use of having the policy in the institute. That's why you have to that's why you're conducting this this vision building exercise and this whole program. A 3 phases training program, so that our NISP coordinator will understand this dynamics. Accordingly, when they will go back to their institute, they will present to their higher authority, and they will say that, sir, this is the way we have to do, and they will discuss again. They will set up a competent team, and they with a division of work and responsibility, and they can pull up IIC faculty members, IIC student members, the experts in IIC to help them in implementing this NISP policy. And institute has to see that how the various departments exist in the same institute, but they are working in the area of innovation and entrepreneurship, how there will be a coherency, how there will be a synergy in performing the task, and how the resources exist already in these departments will be synchronized and be redirected as per the new policy document of institute and as per the NISP. Similarly, faculty and staff should be encouraged to do the course and training and certificate in the area of innovation, entrepreneurship, and IPR on regular basis, so that they will upgrade, they will understand, and also they will mentor, and they will also implement the policy and the other programs provisioned under that policy in a very effectively and efficiently. And also what we have done, what the NISP has provisioned, that a performance matrix should be developed, used for evaluation as part of annual performance of faculties by considering innovation, by considering their contribution to innovation and entrepreneurship, and conducting certain activities either as part of ARIA, either as a part of NISP, as either part of IIC, or other kind of innovation and entrepreneurship and IPR activities they are doing in their campus. So every institute should revise their performance metrics, and they should include this innovation and entrepreneurship and IPR as one of the performance indicator, and based on which also the faculty will get certain reward points, and also on regular basis institute can recognize the efforts of these people, those are engaging in this promoting innovation, promoting and supporting innovation and startups in the campus. And now comes to the collaboration. As I already said, that many institutes have not all the resources in place. In that case, they have to channelize, they have to identify the resources, they have to channelize these resources, and they through co-creation, through collaboration, and through partnership, they have to implement, and they have to create knowledge documents, and they have to contribute towards the developing the innovation knowledge platforms, and they have to use the ICT capabilities, digital platforms, to leverage these platforms to by creating repository of ideas, POCs, innovation and startups, so that they will break the information asymmetry as one of the market failure that what we have studied earlier, and also bringing lots of efficiency and at the governance level and at the system level. And now comes to the part 2. And this is also very, very important for faculties and the students, because I'm going to tell you what are the incentives for you all in this section. So there is an incentive for students for innovation, startup, entrepreneurship. So what are these incentives? So any students, every higher education institute should set clear guideline and establish the process that how a student can be supported to work on their ideas and converting that idea into an innovation further into a business model for the startup. So for that, every institute are recommended to set up a committee having representation from incubation unit and from IIC and from the external experts from the startup, or also alumni, entrepreneurs, and they can consider the request received from the student startups or the students, those who want to start a startup, and that committee on time to time they can give approval that to start this business while they are in the academic, and allow students to set up the startup. It may be technical, it may be non-technical, it may be social. There is no boundary, but the minimum thing is that it should be innovative, and the sustainability, scalability part should be there. And student can also given permission to work part-time in any any startups or any incubating company in the getting incubated in the incubation unit. So they can, in the off time or in the evening time or in the free time, they can work as a intern there, or as a they can support, they can understand the startup ecosystem from there. And also allowing for this section also provision that it allows students to earn credit from working on innovation prototype and business models. As per the AICTE norm, every student, every engineering student has to go through minimum 2 internships and during their 4-year period of time. And if any student will rather go choosing internship in any corporate, if they will choose to work on their own innovation, if they will choose to work on their own startup, if they choose to work on the work in the NGO or the community to identify the problem and developing a solution to that, that also should be considered, and that should be the equal credit can be given to these students also. And student innovator and entrepreneur may be allowed to opt for startup in place of mini projects, major projects, seminar and summer training. They should be encouraged to work in this line. Also, this policy recommends that allow students, entrepreneurs to take a semester break, year break to work on their startups. That's I have already mentioned in my previous slide as one of the highlight point of this NISP. And allowing student entrepreneurs and innovators to sit in the exam, the spelling mistake is there, okay, to sit in the for the examination. And for this, institute can set up minimum attendance requirements, and they can set that, okay, 40%, 50%, something like the per se. They will say that below that they will not consider, but something if they can say that, okay, for all students it is 50%. For the students, those have opted for startup, for them a relaxation of another 10%. Like that you can devise, but it's depend on the institute to take a final call. What is the minimum level percentage for the general student, and what is the minimum level of attendance requirement for the students those are engaged in startup and innovation activities. But one condition is that student should have taken the approval for their innovation and startup in advance at the beginning, and should have reported to the institute on time-to-time basis about their progress and advancement it's making. And that means I'm not saying that after getting that shortage of attendance, then only they will come and say that, Saru, I have a startup and please give the no. That will not happen. You have to inform in the beginning when you will start, and after that, if because of this startup and innovation activities, students getting affected in the attendance percentage, then only they will be committed. The committee will give the something due consideration. So this is the one thing all institutes should think about it, and have to start working how you are going to do it. How in the policy documents, please define in very clear way that how you are going to implement it. And similarly, if a student want to start a startup, for that they have to register a company, and to register a company they need a address, official address, correspondence address. So in some cases they will not able to give the residential address, because generally they are from the one part of country and they study in another place of the country, another place. So in that case, if institute have the incubation unit, if institute have the pre-incubation unit, or in other cases also, if institute have to think about that, student can be allowed to register the startup by giving hostel address also as one of the registered registered address in the during the startup registration. And this is also one of the key feature of NISP. Now let's come to the incentive for the faculty, the most weighted. But I believe you are listening not from the faculty side, you are listening from the student side, you are listening from the institute side, you are listening from the all stakeholder side, because you are now policy ambassadors, you are now NISP policy coordinators of your institute. So you are policy agents. You should not think only that faculty point of view. You have to think about from the all aspect. You have to think as a neutral man, right? Policy means neutral. A policy cannot be devised in a biased manner. So please take this note. Policy has to be think in a very, very neutral manner, and that is the way you have to play the role. So now comes to the incentive for faculty for innovation. Here that is called allowing faculty to start a startup based on the technology developed in the lab at the institute or previously developed somewhere else, but have a ownership on IP if it is technology based. If If it is non-technology based, if it is not a technology based, then the committee set up by the institute will consider the originality and the innovativeness, and based on that they will permit that student, that faculty, to start the startup. And faculty can take a incubation support, or can may or may not take the incubation support. There is no compulsory. Similarly, for the same is applicable for students also. And faculty or staff, here when you're saying faculty means faculty also non-teaching staffs also. So faculty or staff also can take off for a semester break or a year break, or they can take a sabbatical or unpaid leave or casual leave for working on the startup, and they can come back to the job after spending that break. And there is no restriction on say that staff and faculty can take, as long as they do not spend more than 20% of office time on the startup, either in advisory or consultant role, and do not compromising with their existing academic and administrative work or duties. So that means, if being a faculty, I am spending 20% of the total time in the startup that I have developed, or I'm mentoring, or I'm in the advisory role in another startups. So in that case, if I'm spending less than 20% time or up to 20% time without affecting my teaching and other duties, then there is no upper cap for the faculty to take the ownership. I can have a 30% of ownership, I can have a 50% of ownership, is fine. But in case faculty or staff is have spending more than 20% of time, that means they are giving full time, or they are giving full time in that case, but they are drawing salary. So in case of faculty or staff is drawing salary from the institute, and institutes can take equity on startup, should be limited to 20% total share of faculty or staff, or 9.5% of the total stake, whichever is minimum. I'm just trying to explain with an example. Consider I am a faculty of Institute X, and I have started a company, and that is the technology from my institute. And now in the because the technology is from my institute, so my institute is part of that startup now, and based on that, now institute will ask the ownership on my startup. So in that case, institute can take ownership either 20% of the ownership of mine. Consider that I am the one of the founder, also another founder who is not from the institute. So consider I am a 50%, that means we have 50%. Being a faculty, I have a 50% ownership, and another person who is not from the academic, not from this institute, he is outsider, he has the 50% unit. So institute will ask 20% of my equity. That means 50% of my equity means how much? It is 10%. So either institute can ask 10%, or if it is incubated in the incubation unit of the institute, they can take 9.5% maximum. So now in front of the institute or incubation unit, there are two options. One is 10%, that is 20% of my equity, or there is a 9.5%. So which one I should take? Institute should take. Institute will go for the 9.5%. This is the minimum. Okay. So in that case, 10% is not applicable. So this is the small example, but in my YouTube video that I have given the link at the end of this slide, where I have taken more than 3-hour session to explain each and every clauses with example. So you can use that also to understand in better way, but this is the simplest example I can give because there is a time limit. Now comes to the norms for faculty. So faculty can play the role of advisory, they can play the role of owner or the founder, but they cannot play the role of management. They cannot be chief executive officer, they cannot be the employee of the startups of the he has registered. So there are two things. Being a founder, you have the ownership, you have the ownership on the equity. Being a CEO, you are you are working as an employee, and CEO has entitled to get the salary, to draw the salary. That means being if a faculty as a owner of the startup, you have the only entitled to get the profit part at the end of the financial year. You cannot draw salary. And if you are also co-founder, owner, also your employee as a CEO, as a part of management, then if you're giving full-time effort, then you can draw salary. So in that case, first thing is that as a faculty can start a startup with approval from the institute as a owner, as a co-founder, but not as a CEO. So that means you cannot play the role of CEO. You cannot take the management position while in teaching, while you are drawing the salary from the institute. That means it is very, very clearly stated in the policy. So please, this is the biggest, this is the thin line difference or the distinction between the CEO ownership and also that engaging the startup while teaching. Okay, so that means you cannot draw the salary from the startup. You cannot take the gift from the startup. Only you can take share in the profit that your startup is going to earn at the end of the financial year. And also faculty must clearly separate and distinguish the ongoing research at the institute from the work conducted at the startup or company. If your startup is incubated in the incubation unit or it is exit, but a faculty cannot combine these two. You cannot diverse the fund from the other research project for your startup. You should keep separate. And similarly, in case of selection of acceleration and incubation, you may take sabbatical leave or other leave up to 1 year or one semester based on the committee recommendation. Faculty must not involve. This is again, faculty must not involve research staff or other staff engaged in academic projects of institute in activities that they conduct in the startup. That means the staff, the employee under the startup should be separate, and the staff and the project staff members for the other research projects should be kept separate, even though the same faculty is doing both the things. Okay, so I think this is the much clear. Now let's come to the part 3, and I will run with first because it's already 5:30. So incubation, pre-incubation, as I said that pre-incubation is easy to start. Everybody should, every institute should start with pre-incubation, and incubation unit should be planned as a SPV, special purpose vehicle, that is under a Section 8 company or a Society Act or a Trust Act or something like that. And similarly, facilities should be accessible to 24/7 to students, staff and faculty, and payment modes, rental basis or equity basis, that already I have explained. And in case of compulsory equity model, because in many incubation units they said that we will not, once you will enter into the incubation unit, you have to give 9.5% of the total equity. In that case also, incubation unit or institute cannot force that particular startups to transfer the equity on the day one of admitting into the incubation unit. There should be a 3 months cushioning period or a buffer period where startup will understand actually your incubation is suitable for the services, or also your incubation unit will observe that is that startup is actually has the potential to grow or not. So accordingly, there will be 3 months of cushioning time through which each other will understand. But during that time, institute or incubation unit can charge fee or rent to startup for the services they are availing through the incubation unit. I think somebody has asked this one in the question. That's why I have specifically explained. So now comes to the IP ownership. I already have explained that this one. Now I will only explain 2 points here. If any one of the inventor, if resources of the institute has been utilized, and institute should be the one of the co-inventor, and if any one of the inventor of the technology want to take the technology into a startup mode, then 4% of in case of if it is not a software based, then the 4% of sales price should be given to the institute if institute has not taken any ownership in the startup. If institute has already taken the ownership, then I think this 4% ownership on IP may or may not be considered. But institute is not asking any ownership, but they are asking that I have transferred the technologies to you. You do the startup. You pay the 4% of the total sales to institute, being one of the co-inventor. And but preferably in case of pure software product, this is it is very difficult, because in software product the price profit sharing is varies, so we cannot lay it down, and it should be on case to case basis. Every institute should consider. And in case of software, share divide is based on the mutual decided between the institute and the incubation unit and the incubating company. And if any dispute comes in IPR ownership or revenue sharing or licensing, then a 5-member committee set up by higher education institute will look into the matter, and they will recommend, and interdisciplinary they can invite the members from the alumni or the persons having substantial year of experience and understanding on this technology transfer and the licensing and IPR should be included in this committee. So pedagogical in learning and intervention, I think this is well understood. Every institute should focus on to start at least elective course, credit course, or MDP, FDP, EDP in the area of innovation and entrepreneurship. And if required, also you should think for starting the master level and post UG level entrepreneurship and innovation and design thinking courses. And already AICTE has started. 15 institutes are already started this course, MBA in Innovation Entrepreneurship Venture Development Program. In next year, in next annual approval process, you also can apply, and you will. And if you have the incubation unit and have the competency to run this course, definitely also you will get. You can. But if you are university, you need not to wait for AICTE things. You can start on your own, and you can take our materials. It is already available in the web page as a reference document. And comes to the last section, comes to the entrepreneurial performance impact assessment. Performance analysis should be done on based on the services and the facilities offered by your institute on regular basis. And also you have to set the key performance indicators, as I have explained earlier. And also you have to see that what are the indicators at the input level, what are the indicators at the output level, what are the indicators at the outcome level and the impact level that you can set, so that you can conduct monitoring and impact evaluations on the regular basis. You can download NISP documents from here. I think many of you have already. And if your institute has not joined the campaign, NISP campaign, you can join. And also, I think you all are the part of the third one. So, but still you can promote this one. You can, because this is the first phase. And once we complete these 3 stages of training, then we will invite the application from another 1,000 for the second phase training. And similarly, we will go on. And for detailed explanation, already a complete explanation on this, all the clauses, more than 2 hours 30 minutes, it is 2 hours 45 minutes explanation is there. From this YouTube link, you can watch it in detail. And you can write to us at startup@aict-india.org. For any general query, you can call to my innovation officer, Dr. Pooja Rawat, part of the NISP implementation team. And I'm always open to talk with you. And also I will talk on regular basis. And you can call me if you have any specific query, or you can write to us. We will happy to answer these questions. We will happy to also handhold, provide all kind of support system, whatever we can at the knowledge level, at the resources level. And now I'm stop sharing this things. Now I will take 3 or 4 questions, or I will read from the documents shared with me. I have already 5 pages, 10 pages questionnaires with me. I will, because of the time constraint, I will only take 5 questions. But next time I will try to take more than 15 questions. So the first question, the first question I'm going to take is that. Sorry, actually I'm a bit fast. So, but though still I have missed many concepts and many materials. But I will try to accommodate and cover in my next training session, that is on 19th of August. And so this is Lakshmi Goritayal from Vivekanand Educational Society Institute of Management Studies and Research. Her question is, how soon the Education Institute will follow the guideline of implementing the NISP? So
yes, sir, I'm here.
Yes, so I'm reading. Please mute. I'm reading your question and also I'm answering. And the question is that, so that how soon is answer is with you. How soon you will be, because the new academic year is yet to start or is just about to begin. Soon, within next 1 month time or 2 months time, you will have this document and will start. Then it will help you. It will help the students. It will help the faculties, because you have enough time to correct any kind of mistakes, or you can experience. You will learn from your mistakes, and also it will rectify. You will improve if required. And you set up the committee, have a good number of committee from different experts from the different sources, and I will share this presentation with you all. You use this tool and you develop in, I think when 19th of August, when you will come up with the first level of the brainstorming document, so that when I will explain you how to implement, that will help you to refine further, and that will help you to again further brainstorming and again start implementing in next 1 month of time. So if you will ask me the target, I will say that before beginning of the new academic year, that is October. So if you will completely set everything, if you will write down all the processes, you will have this policy document for your institute in next 1.5 months, and you will set up the programs that what you're going to do from the October, because October 15th from where the last date for starting the new academic year. So that is as soon as possible you can do. So now I'm going to the next person's.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So now another question is from Hemalata from Setu Institute of Technology, and her question is that, will NISP support the institute for infrastructure development to provide startup facility to the students? So the question is that policy is a document, that policy is enabling through the interventions, and it is empowering the institutes to how to think, to design, to develop, and to implement, and to monitor, and to leverage the opportunities. Policy is not, so far we have not provisioned any financial support, but once you will have this one, I'm very sure that you will get so many opportunities, you will get so many avenues. You will not ask this type questions to us. You will say that, sir, we have done this much kind of things, we have managed the resources from this number of sources, and also we have given, say that 1% of the annual budget will give you the kickstart to start with it. So I will go to the next question, that is called Farkanda Anna from Baba Ghulam Sahab Badshah University. His question is that, what should be done to stick the interest of student other than motivational talks and workshops? I think I have covered all the aspects. Actually, it is beyond the simply delivering the innovation talks. In the problem tree, in the solution tree, in the entrepreneurship framework, everywhere I have mentioned that how you are going to do it. And when I will share this document, please spend much time to read that NISP policy, also this presentation, also do lots of research, engage the persons, engage the experts, and bring all experts into the one table, have a brainstorm. You will get so many strategies that beyond this motivation talks. Okay, so I think I have answered your query. Next, you go to the another query. So it is the Bhavna Ambudkar from Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute of Technology, Pimpri, Pune. And her question is that, what should be the qualification and rank of this NISP officer? See, if you will ask us, there is nothing called a qualification, nothing called is rank. We have asked the institute to nominate a senior faculty who has some experience and have the energy, has the passion, has the commitment to have this kind of innovation and startup policy for their institute. It needs lots of energy, it needs lots of passion and thought process. So if you have that kind of commitment, and why senior faculty? Because senior faculty has the close relation with the top authorities, and they can able to present, they can able to convince, and they can able to implement. That's the reason why we have sent. So if your institute feels that an assistant professor has that ability, has that enthusiasm, then it's most welcome. So I will take another 3 more questions. So this is Vijay Kumar Singh from Soviet Institute of Engineering and Technology at deemed to be university. So his question is that how can a faculty play a role in implementing of startup policy in a university? Already I have explained each and every bit that where actually you bring your role is from beyond the policy, beyond the faculty coordinator. Now you are the policy ambassador, now you are the policy agent, now you are a person having to think in an unbiased way, as a neutral, as a person having vision. So you feel that you are a now visionary, you are now given a task of how to bring change in your institute among the students and faculties. That if you will bring at your institute level, then I think if each and every institute will bring that change, then you can imagine that when you will reach 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 institutes, then I'm very sure that our country is going to lead the whole world in this innovation and startup. And all credit will goes to you all, because you people have that capacity to do it, and you have that student base, have the faculty base, have the all technical and management qualities. So only the thing is that you have to think about, you have to discover that inner potential that is with your young mind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I will go to the next question. It is Harish K from Government Engineering College, KR and his question is that how effectively we can implement for our students and faculties. As I've given the problem tree, solution tree, then all the components of government failure and market failure structure, problem solving approach, tools and the techniques. Then I have shown the NISP components. All these things, once you will start thinking and use the best resources, best experts that you can rely on, and after that you will see the flavor of the efficiency and the effectiveness of the faculties to implement this one. So till to get this flavor, sabar ka phal meetha hota hai, iske liye aapko thoda mehnat karna padega. So spend some time, spend some resource, engage some experts. After that, from the samudra manthan, what the amrit will come, that will give you the best satisfaction, and I believe that you definitely are going to do it. So I will take another one, because actually I am not I can't resist myself to read, because I have more than 1,500 questions. So still one time I'm feeling that I should read another one, but I will take another one. Okay, so it is the question from Clara Fernandez from Bombay College of Pharmacy. Her question is that entrepreneurship involves lots of risk. Hence, in post-COVID-19 times, how do we innovate, motivate a student to pursue startup related activity? I think it is the best question. I think you have the best answer I am going to give you. See, during this COVID pandemic, I think it is not over. Still this pandemic is there. But in this pandemic, the most innovation happened in the education area. Mostly the online education system through which we are connecting, we are delivering, we are interacting, we are exchanging. Then every institutes are doing their bit of conducting MDP, FDP on regular basis. And now students in their home, but still they are taking the classes. So the kind of best innovation is happening in the education sector only. So you are asking that what innovation you can do. So this is the way actually you do. You put your effort, use the leverage this digital platforms capacity, and engage your students, and have a best flexible and but disciplined innovation and startup policy for your institutes. And I believe that is the way you can do it. And answer to your things, without risk, there is nothing gain. If you will risk, then only gain will come. Then shall I read or not? Oh my God. Okay, I will take one more. So Jyoti Singharaju, Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, and her question is that in regular course curriculum, can innovate and entrepreneurship course be added as add-on course with additional credits? I hope I have answered. In education, this is one of the major component under the NISP policy. Every institute, irrespective of technical or non-technical or arts and science background or commerce background, you have to consider that how you are going to include the subject on innovation, entrepreneurship, IPR, design thinking, either at the elective course, credit course, or as a short-term course or certificate course, or as a UG level course, or as a PG level course, or at the PhD level entrepreneurship and research on these areas. You should encourage. So there is nothing. It's a bar. There is no bar. The sky is whole limit. So the high you will go, the more you will prosper. So keep it up. Answer is already there, and I think this is another. I don't want to skip this one. So it is Rajkumar Dhanandu Palhade from Faculty of Polytechnic Ecole, and his question is that as in Diploma Institute, there is a very limited updated R&D facilities. See, R&D is one, but R&D, this is called beyond R&D. We are thinking that if your diploma students can engage with community, and if they will come up with a solution to the problems faced by our community or society, even though you are not able to provide solution to the industry, maybe if you will provide some solution to this to the society and community, that's also the one of the best contribution you can make to our country and economic development. So I see that there is ample opportunity for the diploma level, polytechnic level, because generally these are located in the third tier cities, the rural areas, and they are directly comes across with the society, and you can collaborate with the engineering institutes. Your student can team up with the students from the engineering and the management institutes located in the next level or second tier cities, and you cross-disciplinary and cross-institutional collaboration through which you can promote this innovation and entrepreneurship. I think that way you can make the things happen. And with this, I believe I have tried my best to justify and to give the best of my knowledge what I have in a very short span of time, because I'm not much experienced as you all are more than senior than me, and I have tried my best to give, and I hope I made the things whatever I can. If I have done something, anything.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Please take it in very wholeheartedly and very spirit.
Thank you, sir. Thankful to you. You are very informative. Your session was very informative, sir.
Excellent
Presentation is given.
Thank you very much.
Really, I did not expect this much information.
Email us, sir. Kindly email us.
Thank you very much.
explanation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Excellent session, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir. Excellent, sir.
Energy
Energy presentation, sir. Thank you, sir.
So please don't stop.
sir. 3 hours continuous talk.
Please. So we will see again. And meantime, we will share some feedback assessment. Also, we will do some.
Thank you so much.
To understand your learning level, and accordingly, we will see again on 19th of August for the second phase of training with lots of more information, with a lot of more enthusiasm.
Sir, please share the PPT.
Yes, definitely. By tomorrow morning or tonight, you will get.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Excellent presentation.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you
so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent presentation, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It was a wonderful presentation, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So please leave the meeting.
Thank you for the
Leave the meeting. Please leave the meeting. And yes, thank you. I'm really grateful that you all spend much time and you joined beyond the time. I think more than 2.5 years, 2.5 hours you have spent here with me. Actually,
Dipan Sahu, sir. Dipan sir, you are the role model to us, all of us. As an academician, we are really grateful to you. You are the role model.
Thank you, sir.
Please mention about the policy for recruiting back office work.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Abhi, no more question. You write your question to us. Answer the. Oh, I think
Faculty.
I don't want to close the meeting. I will request all to leave the meeting so that I will close the meeting, because still more than 1:33. I don't want to close the meeting from my side. So
No, sir, I'm
please,
asking this because I'm a medical faculty.
that is fine. You write to us.
Policy from AICTE, right?
Please write to us. Please write to us over email. We will reply you. I will reply. Please write to us.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tithi, I will request, Selva, I will request all my team members, Sima, Tithi, Pooja, Selva. It's very thankful that you all have given all of your effort to make this session very fruitful, and you have managed and coordinated this session very well. And also thanks to Jere sir for leading from the front. And please close this meeting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Please close this meeting. Thank you all.